Sunday, 4 o'clock games. Let's go Broncos, Raiders. Broncos are one of the more heavily bet public sides so far this week. And it's not just public, actually, either. Sharps are on Denver, too, and it's no surprise we've seen a 3-point line adjustment, which 3-point line adjustment is something we normally see with like a QB injury or QB change. Regardless, Broncos are at the peak of their market pricing right now, and sharps continue to show betting support for this Broncos team. Not just this week, but the past couple weeks as well. Broncos are one of the biggest jumps in power ratings for me. The first 6 games of the season till now, week 12, the Broncos go from 3.5 points worse than a league average team to now a half point better than league average. Even with such a big adjustment for the Broncos, I'm nowhere near Denver being 6-point favorites in this game. For me personally, I almost have to disregard the Broncos and Bo Nix's performance last week versus Atlanta, a game where they blew Atlanta out, but it was just an absolute perfect opponent for Denver in so many ways. Atlanta's defense generates zero pressure. Bo Nix on-off pressure splits are night and day when facing pressure and not. Now, Broncos face a Raiders pass rush that's top 3 in all pressure metrics. Bo Nix hasn't been good this season, but after one game versus an ideal opponent, his perception seems to have improved. And that's just the NFL with this recency bias. Denver gets no bump up from me after that game. Raiders have a new play caller, Scott Turner. This typically warrants a bump up. What we can expect is more run-heavy game script for the Raiders. That's what Antonio Pierce ultimately wants anyways, just pound the ball. Not sure how that's going to work out this week after losing 2 running backs last week, both Alexander Mattison and Zamir White. That leaves, I think, just Abdullah as their lone featured back. I can't imagine they give him 20 carries. Raiders injuries don't stop at running back either. Cluster injuries in the secondary. Raiders had 3 starting defensive backs leave the game injured last week. They didn't return. As of now, it looks like 2 of them are going to miss this game. Cornerbacks Nate Hobbs and Ja'Cory Bennett are out. Jack Johnson, he's questionable. That's 3 cornerbacks that could be down. The Raiders, they're top 3 in pressure, but might not matter if the guys are just wide open from the jump. Moving along, Cardinals Seahawks. This is a potential weather game here. Looks like rain, but as we've talked about before, the only weather element that impacts scoring is wind. And that's why we really haven't seen this total move all that much. The betting public may look at rain or snow on like the day of the game and, get involved with betting the under. But there is no historical data that shows either rain or snow suppresses scoring in any way. Keep that in mind. I kind of like the Seahawks in this one. Their defense has had a ton of impactful injuries early in the season, and they're just now starting to play better in recent weeks. Last 2 weeks, Kyron Williams, Christian McCaffrey they faced, held them to really low outputs. And it's not just Seattle getting healthier either. Head coach McDonald, he's scheming up and game planning better too. They're starting to play a lot more man coverage as well too, which is ideal when facing Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, when facing man coverage, this season, he's completed 53% of his passes, just 4.8 yards per attempt. There's only one quarterback with worse numbers than that, and it's Bryce Young. On offense, Seattle is actually really good when their offensive line holds up for them or isn't costing them huge negative plays. And good news for the Seahawks is that the Cardinals don't have much of a pass rush. They rank 24th in pressure rate. Arizona's defense allows the 4th highest success rate per dropback in the league. This is a matchup Geno and his 3 stud wideouts should look good against. Seems like a clear bet for me on Seattle, right? Just can't get there. I've had a hard time measuring what this Arizona team is. I have them power rated almost 2 points better than league average. That's good enough for the 8th slot in my ratings. Obviously, I feel like that's too high, but I can't just trust my numbers when I want to. And, I make Arizona 1.5 points better on a neutral field. Oh no, 1.5 points better than Seattle if the game was played on a neutral field. So when we factor in home field advantage, it's basically a pick 'em. And with the current line of pick 'em, no value really there either way. All right, we're moving on to primetime here. Sunday night football, Eagles, Rams. I bet the over in this game, and it's a bet that I thought I originally missed the number on. On Monday, I had over 47.5, 48 circled. By the time I woke up on Tuesday morning, the line was already 50 or 51. I was bullshit. I hadn't even run my numbers yet. I figured, oh, well, it's not going to be the first time I missed the numbers or the last time, and for anyone who knows me, I'm not going to make a bet if the lines move that much against me. Much to my surprise, the number came back and I was able to get over 48.5 later in the week, which is a little worse than what I originally had circled at 48. But, and of course, I don't love the fact that the number came back down, which means there's likely sharp money on the other end of that line move. But I look at this matchup. We have two offenses that are currently playing much better than their season-long numbers indicate, in my opinion. The Rams aren't the same team they were weeks 1 through 6. Rams scored 20 points or less in 5 of their first 6 games of the season. Now they've scored 26 points or more in their last 3 out of the last 4 games. And it's the same thing with Philly. They had 4 straight games early in the season where they scored 21 points or less. Now they've scored 26 points or more in 5 straight games, and I don't think the numbers on these totals are being fully reflected by this recent offensive performance. I have a future bet on the Rams to win the NFC West, and the standings now are pretty much wide open. At this point in the season, teams are very aware of their record and schedule, and they're starting to think playoff positioning, and there's some teams that have the luxury of letting their foot off the gas. Philly could be one of them. And then others that are in a do-or-die spot, like the Rams here, in desperation mode because of their slow start and all their injuries. The Rams' division is a bottleneck and up for grabs. Every game is basically a playoff game for a team like the Rams the rest of the way. McVay will go deep into his bag of tricks, and it's like an all-in effort here for them. Rams, they're 5-5. But they're much better than that record, I believe. They're 4-1 their last 5 games. They were the most injured team in the league, weeks 1 through 4. Stafford has looked a lot better with his boy Cooper back. Since Kupp has been back, Stafford with 4 straight games passing of 250 yards or more. It's on the defensive side where there's questions for me here. Rams haven't faced a rush offense that ranks inside the top 15 since week 2 of the season, and yet the Rams rush defense ranks 18th in rush success rate. I think they'll have a real tough time stopping the Philly rush attack, and that's really a concern for my overplay too, because I think Philly's going to go run heavy here, and the Rams, they're rated top 10 in QB pressure metrics, but Jalen Hurts, he struggled his whole career against pressure, and one way to limit that pressure for Hurts is, for the Eagles offense to go more run heavy. And the Eagles already operate at such a slow pace with long, slow, methodical drives. Can't have those end with 0 points when needing to get to like 50 points. Eagles defense is kind of clicking right now, no question. And I said this before the season started in the Eagles team preview that this defense would be slow out the gate because the Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio runs such a complex system, and the Eagles defense is so young that it would take them a couple weeks to get going. But I want to see this Eagles defense against legit wide receivers and a QB that can get them the ball in space like the Rams. All right, let's wrap up this Week 12 game breakdown. If you've watched this far, write in the comment section, son of a gun. I just want to see who's paying attention and watching this deep. We still got the Monday night game to go over, but type son of a gun in the comment section if you're still watching this late in the game previews. All right, Monday Night Football, we got Ravens, Chargers. No shortage of storylines in this one. I'm not going to go through any of these. None of them impact the game. About the Brother Bowl or whatever. I like the over in this game. But the number's gone now, unfortunately. This opened on a key number of 48, and it's been bet all the way up to the next key number of 51. No chance I could bet over 51 after it opened 48. I just can't do it. I don't care that it's Monday night, and, I'm betting for the sole reason to make money. When you do that, you don't think of betting like you need action. Each bet is literally an investment. It's not entertainment. And it takes a lot of years of losing to start thinking like this. But I didn't always bet or think this way either. But eventually you kind of get sick of losing, and you want to try something different. And believe it or not, winning more bets than losing is actually kind of fun. But the reason I lean over here is I think both offenses will have success moving the ball. Chargers' defense isn't as good as they show up on paper. The Ravens' defense on paper just simply isn't good at all. And, especially after losing the brains behind their historically good defense a season ago, with defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald taking the head coaching job in Seattle. Baltimore's gone from first place to now 25th in EPA per pass play allowed. They now rank dead last in explosive pass percentage allowed. Chargers offense operates at the sixth. Where the hell's my phone? Sorry. What the hell? Hey, let me